There's no doubt that the American and global economy as a whole go through periods of recession and growth. America has pretty much had an all-out bull run for the last decade or so, with economic growth so radical that a lot of people think that there could be a recession right around the corner. Today, I'm going to go over a few of the factors involved in predicting a recession, show you a few reasons why I think there could be a period of contraction close by, and what my financial plans are should we enter into a recession.
Manifest.
What's going on, y'all? Thanks so much for joining me here on Manifest Mitchell today. If you're new to my channel, I'm documenting my journey as well as helping you crush goals, create a dream life through financial independence, and of course, give back to make the world a better place. If that all sounds good to you, consider hitting that like button and subscribing to my channel. So there are a few things I've noticed over the last couple years, and more specifically several months, that could show that there is a looming recession. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist that claims I have an all-seeing eye for predicting the end of the world or the economic collapse of 2020, because let's face it, nobody knows when the next correction or period of growth in the economy is going to be. But it was a clever thumbnail, right? However, most reasonable people can put together the pieces of our current global economic state and look back at history to realize that there's a significant possibility that a recession is just around the corner. As of July 2019, 2009 to 2019 has been the longest period in history of economic expansion in America, dating back to 1854. On average, the US enters into a recession or correction once every 5 years, lasts about a year and a half, and then just keeps growing. We've pretty much doubled how long we've been in a period of expansion, but keep in mind, just like the casino game blackjack, the cards you were dealt before your current hand don't necessarily influence the hand you have right now. It's certainly possible just by sheer mathematical odds that our economy could continue growing for another 5 or 10 years, but I do find that to be highly unlikely, and it's much more probable that our economy will correct itself or contract again, at least for a short time. So given the context of where we are currently in the average cycle of economic expansion, let's look at how we've gotten here in the first place. The amount of consumer spending has increased dramatically during this period of growth. Student loan, vehicle financing, and credit card debt in America have all exceeded well over $1 trillion each and continue to grow. Banks will basically loan out money to anybody with a heartbeat and enough brain cells to fill out the stupid paperwork, which is more than apparent in the now $10 trillion of outstanding mortgage loan balances in America. People have just borrowed themselves into oblivion with very little liquid cash on hand if something were to happen, which is strangely familiar to 2008, but what do I know? I'm just an ignorant, entitled millennial who's actually in way better financial shape than most of the people calling me an entitled millennial. So my third reason for a possible 2020 recession is the declining earnings growth of Q1 and Q2 2019. Even with a strong jobs report for July 2019 reporting over 160,000 jobs created in our economy, if companies aren't making money, they're eventually going to stop hiring altogether or start letting people go from their jobs. We'll have to see how the jobs reports pan out for Q3 and Q4, but with the way the markets are going right now, I suspect a dismal Q3 when we receive the data. Alright, so my fourth reason for a possible 2020 recession is the current global political state. President Trump announced recently that he's going to tack on another 10% tariff on $300 billion worth of Chinese goods, on top of the already 25% tariff on $250 billion worth of goods. You've got Europe still trying to figure out this whole Brexit situation. We've got walls being built and immigrants trapped in cages on our borders. Not to mention, what the is going on in Iran and Syria right now. Nuclear weapons, political nightmares, I mean, it's just a mess. There are numerous other foreign relations and political unrest problems I don't have time to get into right now that make me think we're probably gonna have to figure this out pretty quickly before we can really focus our political and economic resources on sustainably growing our economy any further. So the last reason that I think that we might be headed for a recession is that the Fed just lowered interest rates. Typically, the only reason you need to lower interest rates is to encourage spending and stimulate the economy, and this is usually when people have a dismal outlook on the economy as a whole. Given that just a few days before the Fed's announcement, the S&P 500 and Dow Jones 30 hit all-time record highs, it seems more like an attempt from the Fed to try and continue this overinflated period of expansion instead of using it as a safety net to increase consumer spending during times of low economic activity or contraction. Why the Fed did this, I'm not too sure, but what I do know is that they just piss me the f off because my Wealthfront savings account just went from 2.57% APY to 2.32% APY. You've done it again, Fed. Thanks for enacting new monetary policy to falsely stage the idea that this sort of economic growth is in any way sustainable, instead of using interest rates to regulate and stabilize the already unstable economy. So what are my plans if the economy goes south in 2020? Well, currently I've put myself in a position to short the market because a high percentage of my net worth is tied up in cash. I'm still investing some money in the market each month for my retirement and other goals, but I don't plan on selling those anytime soon, and should the market drop, I'm gonna clean up pretty well. A goal I've had for the last few years is to pay cash for a piece of real estate in about a year to 18 months, and hopefully this coincides with when the market will drop. However, should the market keep growing, I'm still going to purchase anyway. The phrase time in the market is better than timing the market couldn't be more true. I could sit on the sidelines for decades waiting for the next market drop or crash, but at the end of the day, I'd be missing out on years of appreciation and dividends. So I'm almost 100% confident that my plan will work either way the market goes. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I'd love to hear your thoughts below. What are your thoughts on the current global, political, and economic climate? What are your predictions for the economy in the short and midterm? And how are you prepared and able to defend yourself should a market crash occur? Thanks again, y'all, for watching. I will catch you on the next video.